Welcome back to a special Thanksgiving edition of Cahaly's Game Day Breakdown. This week was Cupcake Weekend. A lot of easy games, which means a lot of big scores and a lot of guys look good. And later on, we're going to reveal our Cahaly's Breakdown top 6. But first, our Game Day crew, they were at the Ohio State game up at the Horseshoe versus Penn State. And Craig, there was a little bit of a rivalry starting to form. The Fox crew was also at the Horseshoe with the ESPN crew. So as people were flipping back and forth trying to see who looked the best, a little bit of rivalry was starting to form. But first, let's talk about who looked good in Cupcake Weekend. We'll start with our Game Day crew. Craig, tell me about Desmond's outfit.
Desmond looked great again. Desmond had a nice plaid coat on, a pretty tie. Desmond can just pull off anything. Again, Josh, I don't know if it was a suit or a sport coat. I never saw his pants, but either way, looked great.
And as we flip back and forth during commercial breaks, we got over to Fox. Brady Quinn, we gave you a hard time last week about your sequin tie. But this week, we thought you looked great. Craig, tell me about Brady's outfit.
I'll tell you what, Brady, I couldn't tell if it was a top coat or a sport coat because you were sitting down, but either way, it was spectacular. The tie looked good, the shirt looked good, the top coat, sport coat, whatever it was, looked great. Appeared to be maybe a cashmere. It was a beautiful coat, beautiful look. Brady, you look sharp, man. I think you heard us last week.
And while we're giving credit, a couple weeks ago, we gave Bill Cower a tough time for wearing that turtleneck underneath his brown sport coat. But this week, Coach, you look sharp. The elbow pads on the sport coat. Craig, tell me a little bit more about Cower's look.
Cower looked good. Coach, I don't know if you're listening to us or not, but it seems like you are. You looked great. The elbow patches bring in a whole different look for a sport coat. And only when you're going into the winter or the fall does that look really good, and Coach did it.
Coming home from church, we turned on ESPN for the Countdown Show on Sunday. Randy Moss in the NFL looked very good. Classic plain suit. But he had a polka dot tie with a striped shirt that looked good. Also, Hasselback sweater. Craig, tell me about what Hasselback with his sweater outfit this week.
You know, I like suits with sweaters, I think, and sports coats with sweaters. I think it looks good. You just got to wear it at the right time, Josh. You can't wear a sweater underneath a suit and the colors don't go, or it needs to be seasonal. Obviously, these guys are moving into seasonal clothing, and they're doing a good job. Hasselback does a wonderful job with it.
But as we said, next week is rivalry weekend, which means this weekend, people were looking past their cupcakes to the big games next weekend, and some were playing not to lose instead of playing to win. They took a step back and kind of overlooked their competition, and I think Reese was one of those guys. Craig, tell me about Reese's outfit.
I agree. Josh, Reese is a steady dresser. He always looks sharp. The tie was sharp. The suit was sharp. But it's gray suit and a goldish brown tie. Reese, gold and brown just don't jihad together very well, and your pocket square kind of went off the map. Just a little step back this week.
Also, tell me about Kirk's tie.
Kirk's tie, to me, looked a little cheap, Josh, if I have to say. He always looks sharp. He always looks put together. The suits fit him great. But the tie, to me, looked a little department store-ish. And it's still a little seasonal toward the spring. Kirk, I know you look good in pastels, buddy, but we got to move it into the fall.
Yeah, so some teams played well. They stuck to their game plan. Others overlooked their competition and took a step back, which brings us to our Cahaly's playoff ranking this week. Dropping out of our ranking was the SEC Network. They were at number 6, had a big falling out. Craig, tell me why.
We cannot emphasize enough that these guys always look good. But Feinbaum, for the 6th week in a row, has worn his blue pinstripe coat. And it's not even a suit. He wears jeans with it. But it's the same coat every week. Feinbaum, you cost him a top 6 ranking.
We saw it this weekend. It's blue jeans and the same sport coat. I think he just leaves it in his bag. I'm not sure what's going on there. But because of Feinbaum, you fall out of the top 6. You got to work really hard to get back in the next 2 weeks. Championship weekend's getting pretty close. So, Craig, who is at number 6 this week?
So, number 6, we get Fox NFL Sunday. They were number 4. They took a little step back, but they maintained and hung on to that top 6.
Yep, straight hands are MVP. Always looking sharp. Good job, Michael. Craig, who's at number 5? Just out of the top 4.
Just out of the top 4 is College Football Today on CBS. Those guys always look great. They're always, again, very steady group. This week, a cupcake week. They rolled on through like they should have. They maintained their number 5 ranking.
This is it, our top 4. Craig, who barely breaks the seal? Who's at number 4?
Number 4, even though we gave them heck last week, Brady Quinn got your boys at Big Noon Saturday on Fox from 8 to 4. Brady, great job. Reggie Bush looked amazing. He had almost looked like a double-breasted top coat, which looked awesome. all those guys did such a good job, moved up 4 spots.
Guys, keep bringing your A game. Way to make a big jump. Number 3, Craig, who we got?
NFL Countdown maintained a number 3 ranking, which was a good thing because they have been pretty consistent all year. Their level of play has been the same all year. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, Hasselback looked good this week. We talked about Randy Moss. Teddy Bruschi had a down week last week. Came back this week, mixed his color choices up, looked really good. Coming in number 3, Craig, we got to switch. We got a little mix up here. Who's at number 2?
Number 2, Game Day boys have fallen a little bit. Not because you did so much wrong, but you played not to lose, as Josh alluded to earlier in the show. It was a little simple for me. Herbie's tie, to be honest, looked a little cheap. Desmond always looks great. Reese, we took a few points off for the brown and gray, which is hard, and the pocket square didn't go together. Falling number 2, big deal. Game Day falls out of the number 1 spot.
Yep, and moving up to number 1, the NFL on CBS. That's Coach Cowher. You got Phil Simms in that group. Craig, tell me about those guys.
These guys have brought it. They have brought it all year, and they have battled and battled and battled. Last week was Cupcake Week, as you said, and they put on a big-time performance. You know, we didn't understand that rivalries were forming, but they are. Next week's rivalry week.
And unfortunately, the ACC network remained at number 10. Eric McLean normally looks pretty sharp. EJ Manuel does okay. And also dropping from number 4 to number 6, dropping out of the top 4, was the NFL Today on Fox. Craig, there's a common denominator between those two programs. What is it?
Well, one thing we know for sure. Coach Rick coached at the University of Miami. Jimmy Johnson coached at the University of Miami. And I don't know how they dress in Miami. From what I understand, it's pretty sharp. But these two guys, the dark shirts for Coach Rick and the teal green and the lime green for Coach Johnson, you guys have to clean it up. Coach Rick, you're a sharp-looking guy. But the dark shirts week after week after week, and Coach Johnson with the green and the teal, so you guys get to share. You can't wear that.
Come on, coaches. With all the swag down there at the U, I'm sure you guys could find somebody to give you a little bit of help. We got a lot planned coming up in our future episodes. Craig, give us a little hit.
Guys, you got to stay tuned because we are working towards not only the championship group, but we are working toward the ultimate, most coveted award, the Cahaly's Custom Clothing Best Dressed Individual. And next couple of weeks, we're going to reveal those top 4.
So we got rivalry weekend, championship weekend, our postseason awards, and then our top 4. So make sure you keep watching. Make sure you like us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and go to our website, CahalysCustomClothing.com, and we'll be back next week, rivalry week, for another Game Day Breakdown.